I started at Waynfleet in November of 2003 as a sub. I had moved to Portland in July of 2003 and without a job. Um, but I picked Portland as a place to live. My last job, I had gone for the job. This time I wanted to pick my place to live. So after doing a lot of research, I found Portland, Maine, and decided to live here. And knowing there weren't a lot of private schools in the area, um, I focused on subbing for a while to try to learn about some schools, and started here. And at that time, like I said, subbing, and it was incredibly significant because Portland, it was such a big move for me. It was, a complete change of life coming from Virginia and Tennessee and places I'd been before. Um, and It was going to be my third job in a school, um, but as it was going to be look very different than my previous jobs. Um, it evolved. I didn't start out teaching finance. I started out, teaching marketing, which at the time was more my expertise, and some economics and English as a second language. But at the school I was at in Virginia, I was teaching economics, and at the time, personally, I was learning about my own finances after having been in the Peace Corps. I was learning all the mistakes that I had made and scratching my head and saying, why did I make these mistakes? And at some point, I came to the realization because I didn't learn it. And although maybe some of it I should have known, the fact is society was changing very fast. Um, the whole world of credit, and for example, and I don't think, my parents thought to prepare me for something that they didn't know about, and it certainly wasn't taught in schools. So it seemed like something that I should try to find a way to teach this through economics, because I feel that the two are incredibly connected. Um, to not only teach the principles of economics to help us as a society in general, but then personally and individually, if we know more about these things, we can make a difference. Yeah, I mean, Peace Corps um, is is I was there for 3 years, and was absolutely the the hardest yet the most important, most rewarding 3 years of my life for sure. Other than having a child, which is in a different category, but let's say professionally and a lot of personal reasons. Um, Peace Corps gave me my experience in the Peace Corps gave me the chance, in some way, to see the world through a different set of eyes. To see the world as a Central European, to see the world as a Czech person, a little bit. I mean, I could never actually do it, but it gave me a glimpse, and at least it made me think about it. At least it made me think, wow, the world is not the United States. Um, what role do we play in it? What role do I play in it? That is a gift that I'll always treasure, and it changed the way I looked at everything, and still does. I never look at anything quite the same anymore. That's not always easy. It's very hard to become very, very critical of my own country. It's very hard to not always see things the way that I thought I was supposed to see them. But it's an awesome gift because it helps me ask better questions, make better decisions, and try to be a better citizen, whether that's here or just a citizen of the world. So, um, and then that's the big kind of theme. More detailed, of course, friendships for life. I can still speak Czech, and which is a great, great little skill to have, which comes out at certain times, and an appreciation for what we have here and the opportunities we have, um, and also an appreciation for the ability to criticize what we don't do well here, um, and how we can get better. Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, there's a couple of themes. One is I feel that in terms of this connects to my Peace Corps experience. I feel like if every individual knew more about economics and finance, we could make better decisions as a country. We could elect more qualified people. We could hold them more accountable if we understood a lot of the decisions that were being made. So I feel like by improving each individual's education, we could all benefit. And then the other part, of course, is the personal aspect of it. To teach students, teach young people um, some of the core skills they need to navigate our relatively capitalist society. Um, and not only the core skills like understanding a credit score, but the analytical skills to know how to go out, take the information that is all around us in the world, and turn that into better decisions. How we earn money, how we save money, how we plan, how we spend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so it's a combination of that. Help people do better for themselves. And then, oh, by the way, I think there's a benefit for society if we all knew a little bit more about economics and finance. Others. Well, I've been here 13 years. The longest I'd ever been anywhere was 5 years. So, going on almost 3 times the longevity here of anywhere else. So that in itself says a lot that it's been transforming um, to me. I've never worked anywhere, and that was very early in my time here. It didn't take 13 years for me to realize that I've never worked anywhere where the relationships are so incredible and meaningful and lasting. Um, I've never worked anywhere that has quite the culture and environment that Waynfleet does. There needs to be a new word to take the place of quirky because quirky doesn't quite capture Waynfleet in a great way. Um, and I've learned to adapt my own um, skills and what's important to me to fit in here and to try to offer help where I can and try to be part of a bigger community where it's necessary. So it's permanently impacted me, not only the relationships I've made, but professionally in terms of what I've learned, all the coursework I've done, both here and outside of school, the people I've worked with, and the development of the personal finance program here is more extensive than anything I'd ever done. And that's, I'm always going to benefit from having had that experience. Done that. Yeah, economics is, I mean, it was my major and I can still remember, struggling to get through it at times. But I felt that it's because it seemed so abstract and hard to relate to. So with economics and of course with personal finance, I really do try to make it personal um, in several ways. One, by telling my own stories. Here's what I did. Here's why this worked out or didn't work out. Here's what I learned from it. I know someone who, very real stories. Um, Research, use research. What is the research saying? And try to then apply it so that the students can say, oh, that could be me. And in my classes to say, all right, this may not affect you today, but it probably affects one of your peers, so you probably should pay attention, or your family. So for me, the key is to make it personal and to make it very real and show how our decisions impact our lives and the lives of others and our society. Um, and it's worked for me in the sense that the class is fun to teach. I think it's worked for the students based on the feedback that I've gotten. And when I work with adults, I've had some experience working with adults, so they say the same thing, that the stories, the realness of it, the personal aspect of it, is what changes it. Because anyone can learn about credit score. You can just look it up on the internet. But what does it mean? Well, it turns out it means real things to real people, and it has to do with all of our different sets of experiences. So trying to teach through that is what I've found to be successful for this class at this school.
Subjects.
Um, yeah, it evolved. I was really good with money when I was a kid. I was great with money when I was a kid. And something happened between the age of, 12 and 20, to where all that just kind of evaporated, and a new person took over for a while. And that was a person who was getting credit card offers and who was, borrowing money for a car and using credit cards and doing this and not planning for the future, spending more than I made. And I was in it. I didn't really know it. The funny thing is when I went into the Peace Corps, maybe it's not that funny really. I don't mean funny, haha, but funny peculiar. Is when I was in the Peace Corps, not earning any money, is when I learned about money. That is absolutely when I learned about money, was when I wasn't earning any. And over my 3 years over there, it just started to come crystal clear to me, how I had really misused, my opportunities in my 20s. And I'm not really blaming it totally on myself. It's tough out there. It's tough when you go to your college campus and they're basically handing out credit cards to 19-year-olds, which you can't do anymore, but you could at the time. 19-year-olds who don't know the long-term implications of credit, and whose parents didn't really know, because my parents had no idea I could go get a credit card.
Sorry. Second. Um, Can you pull it back a little bit to me? Sorry about that. Just the parents.
Okay, so I was getting credit card offers at 19 on my college campus. And yeah, maybe a part of me should have known that wasn't a good thing, but really I was not equipped to defend myself. My parents didn't even know that was going to happen. So as a kid who did really well with money, all of a sudden I was a young adult in a completely different world that was changing rapidly. And so when I was in the Peace Corps not making any money, these things became very clear to me. And when I got back from the Peace Corps, I started studying personal finance, and I started reading and listening and watching, and putting my set of skills, which I had from when I was a kid, which are pretty good math skills and some analytical ability, and applying it to myself for a change. And I really got into it. Combined with my education in economics and business, that was a pretty good combination. I was able to really start getting things figured out. And then like I said, the opportunity to teach that came around the same time. I said, wow, this is perfect. So I was going through this as I was teaching it. I still am. It's never going to end. So yeah, that's where it comes from. It really was born when I was in the Peace Corps, and that other part I mentioned before was born too, which is, whoa, it's frustrating that the United States is this unbelievably powerful economy, and yet our budget's a mess, and we spend too much money on this, and we have schools that are crumbling, and I said, well, that's because very few people make the decisions. Most people don't get what's going on, and that affects their voting and affects how they are impacted by policy and what they do about it. So I felt like, wow, if people knew more about this, that could actually help us as a society too. So that's what fired me up, was making zero money, is what made me learn how to manage it better. Yeah, quite a few of all of those. I am worried, of course, about, can I adjust to life in Spain? I mean, I adjusted to life in the Czech Republic, so I feel some confidence that I've been there. But Spain's a very different place, and So I have cultural worries, I don't feel like I have to fit in exactly, but will it be a good relationship culturally? It's really hot where I'm going, and I worry about I worry about that. Um, but I worry that is my son, who's now 3.5. How what's he going to miss out on not growing up here versus what will he gain growing up there? That's a constant um, thought in my mind. Goals, really. Um, I really want my family to be in a place where they're happy and enjoying life. And although I think Portland has been fantastic for me, and I enjoy life here quite a bit. Um, for my family, there's strong connections to Spain, and a lot of people say southern Spain is a great place to live. People really know how to enjoy life, so I am looking forward to experiencing that for myself. Professionally, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, and that is wonderful. That is just wonderful because I won't be chasing health insurance because they have socialized health care. So I don't have to find a job that also gives me health insurance, which opens up a lot of doors that were more difficult here. To say, oh, maybe I want to be a private tutor there. Maybe I want to teach English or personal finance lessons to people, or teach business English to companies, and maybe do my own thing. Maybe have my own business. That's it's different here because of like I mentioned, health insurance is only one thing. There's a lot more to it. But the bottom line is I see this as a big opportunity for me to maybe do some things I would have never thought of before here. I think I'd like to work at a winery. Probably wouldn't happen in Maine, but it might just happen in Spain. Who knows? It's a very blank slate. I have a lot of ideas, but until I'm living there for a while, I'm going to leave my mind open to any possibilities that may come along, and, uh, and see how see where it goes. So it's incredibly exciting and scary all at once. Um, but I learned from the Peace Corps that, and I know we've heard this at Waynfleet many times, and I say it any chance I get. If the Peace Corps taught me one thing, the whole entire experience, it was that when I get uncomfortable, good things are about to happen, and learning, real learning and growth are about to happen. So the fact that I'm turning everything upside down and causing a lot of discomfort excites me. Because the same thing happened when I came to Maine. I came here with no job. I left a good job, and the 13 years I've been here have been awesome, absolutely fantastic. And now I'm ready for another awesome adventure.